Hi everyone. How's everybody doing? Hello Titch. I'm alright, thank you. How are you? Hi Ronnie. How are you doing? Yeah, what's everybody been up to? So I've just been, like working out today and stuff and just, yeah. I was just being negative earlier and I just restarted the live, so yeah, I've just been fed up of like the YouTube thing and just like there doesn't seem to really be a lot of people around and it's just I don't know. And people only seem to want to be around when there's drama. So it kind of makes me feel kind of worthless and just kind of like nobody really appreciates me hardly. Yeah, there's a few out there, but on the whole it just feels like people just forget and just I understand that people have lives and all that, but even if they just came for a few minutes each day, that would mean something to me. Like, I mean, but for them to just, not even show up at all, just, it's, it's, friggin' working out. They've just been, I went pretty hard today and I just, like there was this kind of like, torn my skin. So yeah, but it's not the end of the world. But I don't know. Maybe I am just a fucking loser, because that's what my reality is telling me. So I don't know. It's just why can't I get that on here though? Hi, what's that? Haley, how are you doing? Welcome in. I don't know. Why can't I just get that on here? Is it just this platform because this platform is toxic? I don't know. For some reason, I just can't really be funny on here. I don't know. I just find it just boring and it just zaps my soul and it just I don't know. I just feel kind of like, because I can't even make another TikTok account, because every time I've tried to do that, they just ban me. And you was going on about using a mobile data, but let's say if I used the mobile data to make an account, but then as soon as I switch off to Wi-Fi, they'd probably then ban it. I don't know. But but I can't. I'm not really able to do music on here unless I try. But then it's just gonna flag it up, and I could end up getting demonetized or some shit. I just don't want to risk doing that. But I'm at a point where I just don't. I'm like, well, what's the point in even giving a fuck anymore? Because the channel isn't growing anyway. So I don't know. So it'd be good if I could do some songs and stuff, but I don't know. I don't say it can't help if there's background that's just why can't it just be enough just be with me? Why can't people come and I get it. It seems hard to get appreciated. Some people can take a dump and it gets appreciated. Yeah, you get these fucking e-thoughts who are like just caked in makeup and then they get like all these simps after them. Even just like your average women, they get way more attention than even attractive guys. It's mad. Like there's actually been a lot of experiments where like someone, like say used because what happens is a lot of men will just auto swipe right on it without even looking at the profile because that's how desperate these men are. A lot of them. Because they ain't getting any attention at all, a lot of them. It's like, they say that basically, like, a lot of women, they get like celebrity treatment. Like they literally get like there are some celebrity. It's like men would have to work so much harder to get the same level of recognition. It's like, hi, I have no enemies. Nothing better to do on a Friday evening than what? Anyway, what's your name, by the way? So who was that was on your stream then? Is it that Dale person? Because he's been fucking mouthing off. I think he was in your chat trying to say some shit about me again. The guy's fucking obsessed. And then you were saying something about my health problems. It's like, yeah, I'm on the autism spectrum, but it doesn't stop me from training. Don't know if you saw my last post, but I've just unlocked the one arm hang. So yeah. So yeah, it's just yeah, some people are just kind of just negative, and it can rub off on me sometimes. Because if people are just negative and then it starts to turn me bitter and just starts to make me kind of go out of character, and I don't want to be like that, you know. Yeah, whatever. I'm not going to Jace's lives anymore. I'm done with him. Because I just can't be doing with that, you know. Oh, that sounds nice. Yeah, that's my mum there in the chat. But I'm just like, I'd just rather not be dealing with Jace. I just get bad vibes about the guy. He might come across like he's, you know, a decent guy and all that, but I just don't really I don't really trust him. Hi Francis, how you doing? But yeah, I'm just saying that, you know, I'm just kind of like focusing on my own thing, really. I don't really go into people's lives that much these days, you know. I'm just kind of, I don't know. I just don't even know who to really trust in anymore. I just kind of, yeah. I'm just kind of focusing on my own progress, but reaction videos. But why can't I just do my own thing and just get viewers, you know? Am I just that boring that I have to try and use other people's content to try and get... I tried doing, you know, response videos. It didn't really work, so I've kind of just gave up with that. If something ain't going to work after a bit, then I'm like, okay, well, I'm just not going to bother. I need to see results, otherwise I'm just going to, like, forget it, you know? I'm just going to just try and find something that works. So yeah, I mean, reaction and response videos can be good if you're getting a lot of views on them, but yeah, and it gets a lot of traction. Hi, Macman. All right, thank you. How are you doing tonight? I hope you're doing well. Yeah, just keep the chat flowing, guys. Started doing some workouts because, well, that's good then if I'm, yeah, I mean, oh, there we go then, maybe I am having some positive effect on people. So yeah, it would help if people actually are getting some benefit, then they need to kind of, you know, let me know, because otherwise at times it can feel like I'm just doing it all for nothing, but I appreciate it when people, you know, sort of let me know and I'm actually kind of having some effect. But yeah. Anyway, so welcome in, everybody. But yeah, maybe I'm just too boring for a lot of people, though, but it's just, I don't know, probably because I'm just not different enough to people. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to be different, how I'm going to stand out from the rest. Because it's not easy, you know. There's so many oversaturated niches out there that are just kind of, it's like, yeah, you go on about, you know, reaction videos, but that's kind of oversaturated now. It's kind of, everything kind of gets oversaturated, and it's just, yeah. So I was thinking about doing the camping stuff, but then I'm like, would I even break through with that? You know, how would I do it in a way that would be different from everybody else? Um, yeah, but it's like, I don't know, like being myself, I just feel like being myself isn't really enough, because myself as I am right now is boring to a lot of people. So people keep saying that, but I'm like, I just think I don't know, I don't really agree with it, because it seems like people are rewarded for being fake online. I'm not saying that should be completely fake, but like, I'm not saying you should, completely be inauthentic, but like, a lot of people will kind of, they'll sort of try to, I don't know, but yeah, they'll put a more extreme version of themselves out online, shall we say. They will, yeah. Because me being myself right now is boring, because clearly, otherwise it would have had way more viewers by now. So clearly, people probably just find it boring, because they would have dedicated time to watch it if they found it interesting. I mean, yeah, there's the odd person that is getting some benefit, but it's just too much of a saturated niche that I'm in, and with the whole health and fitness and things like that, it's just, how would I do things that would be different from everybody else? Because, yeah, people can go on about thumbnails and all this shit, but the thing is, if you're oversaturated, then it doesn't matter any of that stuff, because people ain't going to find you anyway, because you're just going to be buried amongst a lot of other videos that, people would rather watch instead. It's like, yeah, you can take influence or inspiration from other people, but then all you're doing is just trying to kind of emulate what they're doing, but then it's just going to end up, you're just going to be feeling like you're just, yeah, I don't know. I mean, being yourself, it's like, well, who am I though? And what makes me so different from other people? It's like, if I wanted to truly be myself on here, I'd just put random videos of maybe a few impressions or something, and maybe I'd do some like, just some other random stuff, random videos of me doing fitness. But the thing is, though, that's not really, and some people have said, oh, you should do different channels for each of them, but I'm like, but so then I'd have to build up another channel from scratch to try and, it's just, should I have to do that? Like, it's just, why can't I have it all in one place? Because, I guess the problem is some people don't like some of the stuff, and then they're like, you have to be like a very specific niche or something, and but it's just nothing I've ever done's really worked out, apart from when I did TikTok. But I can't even do TikTok anymore. I managed to get that to blow up just by all the consistency of going live, doing videos and stuff. But it just got to a point, yeah, because I've been, restricted so many times that they decided to pull the plug on it. So I'm like, it just gets me down when I'm like, I put so much effort into it just for it to all fail. All these people don't watch me anymore because they only watch on TikTok. So I'm like, what am I going to do? Because I can't just rely on Richard. Okay, Mum. Thank you, but yeah, I don't know if you could just give me your account or something, because maybe I can just get into that. I don't know, because I need some TikTok account or something to get into that, so then I can use it as my own, and I can just go live on it and build it up. Because otherwise I don't know what to do, because I can't get my account back, and there's no way to get it back. I don't even think there's a way to like appeal it. It's just fucked. Like, I mean, and most of them just don't give a damn. After it happened, they just forget about you. They don't care. It's like, because when Richard was trying to message people about it, There was this guy that messaged and he's like completely just ignored it. He didn't care. It's just ignored. Whatever. Just yeah. It's like people just. This is what I mean. It's just something happens to you. After a week or two, they've completely forgotten about it. They move on. So yeah, it can just make me bitter at times, but what am I supposed to do? It's like I just feel like I don't like to rely on people, I don't like to have to rely on people for what you mean gum. Oh, £60 sticker, that would be great, but yeah, I doubt you're probably going to win £60 though, but who knows? Fingers crossed though, but I just don't know what to do. Is if anyone got, I don't know, or if people could even stream me on their YouTube channel, so then they could get me more viewers that way. I don't know. Because it's just not working out. I just feel like there's nothing I can do really. But I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, I've got to make something work. And yeah, people say, oh, just be yourself. But like that, to me, that is just kind of not very good advice. Because that's just not, it's just kind of, yeah, because it's not been working up to now. When I try to be myself and it doesn't work, at least on YouTube anyway. Maybe on TikTok it worked for some reason, but yeah. Because if I was being myself, I would probably play music that most people wouldn't like, because that's the stuff I want to play. But yeah, I don't know. Shall we play music? I don't know. I don't know if it can get me demonetized or whatever. I know that they can block you live in certain countries and shit like that. But I'm at the point where it's like, well, does that even matter? Maybe I could try and find the non-copyright music. But I remember even when I tried playing that it still gave me some copyright notice. I'm like, what the fuck? It was non-copyright music. Like, so there's got to be, yeah. I don't know. Let's have a look. But yeah, just what you mean gum, what's it? Good. Huh? Hello, Murray. Why I get calf cramp? I don't know. How do you train your calves, or do you like do a lot of running or something like? Yeah, just whatever muscles if you work them a lot, then also look at things such as what is it? I think it's magnesium. Make sure you're getting enough of magnesium for muscle cramps. So yeah, just what's the music you like? There's some quite obscure stuff, some of it, and it would be stuff that people wouldn't like here. So too much salt gives you cramp. Yeah, but also not enough magnesium. Maybe potassium as well. I think just having a balance of electrolytes is good. So I would say just try and focus on making sure everything's in the right balance. So not too much sodium, not too much potassium, but enough like magnesium, but not too much. Everything has to be in the right balance. Hi Haley or Pink Pony. I don't know. I don't pay attention to any of this pop music or anything like that. Especially this new stuff. I just don't get it. I just don't vibe with that stuff. It's just not my thing. So that's the thing. I just feel like I just don't really connect with that many people. It's like, even say if I go to like certain events with music on and stuff, I can only like connect with them up to a certain point, and then but then if they move on to another topic, and then I might just not be interested. I don't know. That's been always my issue, where I just don't really fit in anywhere hardly. I can only be around people for so long because I can't. Yeah, it's just I have to kind of just do my own thing, really. Yeah, I just don't really pay attention to any of the new stuff going on, films even. I just don't really have any interest in any of it. I don't really go out of my way to even watch films anyway, but I've been trying to like get into In-Betweeners actually, but yeah, but I'm just kind of like watching it like an episode at a time, and just kind of yeah. I mean, it's quite funny and all that, but yeah, I don't know why I never got into it. It was just one of one of those shows I just never got into, but I wish I had have done now, because it was, yeah, because some of the stuff, it's like kind of like it's in the past now. It's like, it feels a bit dated. It's not that it's dated necessarily, but it's like, yeah, um, yeah. Because like you hear all these songs, and it's like kind of, I suppose there's like nostalgia factor of it. All right, Take Care, Ronnie. There's like this like nostalgia factor with like old stuff now, like where you hear all these songs that were like big in the 2000s, and it's like, because to me, like some of these songs are actually good compared to the stuff that is out now. All this trash that you get now, I find a lot of the music now is just a bunch of trash. It's a bunch of just degenerate crap. I just don't even want to hear what lyrics that they're saying, because it's a lot of just horrible, kind of disgusting stuff, a lot of it. But yet they try and bash on things like death metal, and to me, yeah, their lyrics are violent and all that, but the thing is, that's the whole thing of their art. That's the genre. But there's a lot of these genres of music, like drill, for example, where it's like, the problem with that stuff is that these young people listening to it, they're actually kind of impressionable, actually doing it, the stuff that's in that, and they're going out and living that life. They're going out doing the drugs. They're going out, doing all this degenerate shit because, because it's normalizing it all. Instead of it just being in an art form, it's like they're turning. It's like they have these lyrics that are just, I just, I don't know. I just find it all very much like, it's like, all these people complaining about the lyrics in, say, heavy metal or death metal, whatever. But it's like, to me, some of the lyrics I actually find the lyrics in a way in other genres worse, because of it being, like I said, that it's just kind of I don't feel like there's any need for that, because it's not to do with the art form. Like, to me, it's like, because I think originally, like, hip hop was, a lot of it was about like kind of more positive things, and then it just became all negative and promoting crap like drugs or just having all this material shit. And it's just putting a lot of bad messages in young people's minds. Whereas when it comes to like extreme metal, for example, it's like, it's obviously not meant to be taken like, because it's an art form. It's like that's just because it's not very like relatable, in a sense of like, even things such as the vocal style, like sounding like a monster, and like, whereas say you've got in like drill, it's like you can hear the lyrics, you can hear what they're saying, and there's like, it sounds very serious. Whereas when you listen to like death metal, for example, it's like, it's like it doesn't sound like an actual person doing it. It literally sounds like a monster. If you've ever listened to the lyrics, it's like a monster. So there's a difference between when, they're doing it versus, say, like someone doing drill where it's just glorifying drugs, glorifying just meaningless sex and whatever bullshit that this new music's promoting now. All this crap is it's just further fueling the downfall of society. That's why I fucking hate it so fucking much. It's like everyone wants to bash on all this other stuff and say it's not music or whatever, but to me, it's like, well, I don't know. It's just, I listen to this other stuff and I'm like, how is it that they're calling heavy metal not music, but yet they listen to some real trash that doesn't even have any, there's not much melody to it, and it's just, there's nothing really kind of catchy about it, but yet they're calling that music. It's just, I find it all very odd how people are, where they have this kind of double standard. They'll consider things like, I don't know, just a lot of this stuff that's coming out now as music. And to me, it's like, I don't know, music to me, it's like, I guess like, if something's like truly music, it's like, I think there has to be at least some element of melody to it. I mean, you could say, well, rhythm is a part of it as well, and I just find that even the rhythm part of it very boring and not interesting, and they don't have interest in patterns in the music. It doesn't have any real intricate, sort of ideas and stuff. It's just very uninspired, very much just lazy. It's just the most simple beat that you could imagine with really next to no melody in it at all. Just very boring to me. With just some really like overproduction and just oftentimes a bunch of auto-tune and just fakery. So everything's just become so fake. Like the music is fake. There's so many effects that they put on afterwards that's just fake as fuck. And then even some of the people aren't even singing it live. They have it dubbed, like they have a dub track over their actual voice. And so they're not actually singing it a lot of the time. They're just miming it, basically. So, like, yeah, it's just, everything's just so, manufactured. It's, yeah. Welcome to the 21st century. But, I start talking about these things. I start talking about how, but no one seems to really be interested, do they, People say, oh, just be yourself. That's what I'm doing. I'm talking about the issues that I get kind of annoyed at, and things that, to do with like pop culture that I just can't stand it. But then people don't want to watch me, do they, when I do that? They only want to watch me if I'm not being myself, it seems. They just want to see me be fake, I guess. Hang on, what's going on with this chat? Why is it stopped? Oh, hang on there's nobody else chatting now, so I don't know what's going on, because apparently there's 9 people watching, but there's nobody chatting, so yeah, I don't know, but yeah, just keep chatting, guys, or don't, don't bother then, whatever, you don't have to do that, I'll just talk to myself. What works? We were listening. Well, obviously there's not that many people listening, so anyway, but yeah, just just fed up of this world the way it is. It's just that's just one aspect of it. The mindless music that doesn't stimulate your brain; it just numbs your brain. I think that's just. I understand if people have been kind of, they've had a hard day. They don't want to be dealing with like some friggin', I don't know, some progressive music or whatever like that. They don't want to be dealing with I don't know, jazz or something. I don't know, they don't want to be dealing with classical music or whatever. They don't want to be dealing with any of that because it requires them to actually think. And people don't want to be thinking, when they're tired. So I get that, that can be like a sort of, but it's just, there is smooth jazz as well, but it's just in general, people just want to listen to whatever mindless crap. They just get fed it. I think that's the problem I have is that people don't. It's like an NPC music taste of just like, if you just go, find the average person, they'll have all like similar kind of music tastes, a lot of them, and even the so-called like alternative people are just kind of, it's very just cookie cutter, not very individual, they just listen to whatever the radio throws them, even just like the alternative radio, instead of like actually trying to go out and find music for yourself. They'll just kind of have it fed to them. And it's not just music, it's things such as, media, when they listen to, their news and things like that, with the TV shows, all the similar kind of stuff. It's like, some people have certain variations of what their favorite show is and all that kind of stuff, or, what their favorite news station is or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like, they're still watching the same garbage that everybody else is, that is just spewing out a lot of agendas, and no one hardly, I don't know, there is more people questioning things now, but still nowhere near enough. And the problem is a lot of people get sucked down, the conspiracy narrative, and then they end up falling for that, because there's a lot of bullshit in that as well. There's very few people out there that actually really think for themselves and not just be sucked in by the mainstream narrative or the conspiracy narrative. It's like they're both wrong. And I just feel like I don't fit anywhere, because I used to be deep into fucking conspiracy shit, and I'm like, that's why I had a big channel before. Well, it wasn't big, but it was like, I had a lot of viewers, because I would just talk nonsense about fucking conspiracies and shit, And at the time, I actually sort of believed it, but it was like, but then I come to realize that a lot of it was bullshit, and I'm like, been kind of wasting my time doing that, I started just getting stuff in my head that was just making me go crazy. I was just getting all kind of wrapped up in certain ideologies and whatever, and it's just everything's all become fake. It's like, no matter, you could think you're onto the truth, but then you end up into lies and, just more muddied waters. They think that they've got the truth, but they're actually just, they've just gotten themselves into more, misinformation and disinformation. I think that there's this thing of, it's a dangerous position to be in when you think you've found the truth, but you've actually just gotten yourself into another hole. It's just another pitfall that you've gotten yourself into, thinking that you've enlightened yourself, but really you've just deluded yourself to think that you found the truth. You found, like what, anyway. But it's like, I've got a Facebook account, it's just full of these type of people, but I guess they'll just never learn. I guess that's just the hill they're gonna die on. In certain things, it's like, you know, and it's like, I don't need to go into it all, but like, for example, I'll see posts on my thing about, you know, a certain celebrity being secretly transgender, things like that, you know. It's like, I kind of went down that line of thinking for a while that, you know, what if like all these people are all, you know, secretly trans, and I was kind of, but at the same time, I'm like, you know, start thinking, is this for real? I mean, come on. Hi, Mel. Thank you. It's like, is this all for real? I mean, to me, it's all just, yeah. So some people just have too much time on their hands, and they're just kind of, I don't know. They start going down a certain sort of rabbit hole that they just can't get out of, and they just go deeper and deeper down. And then, if, say, for example, something comes up that kind of questions their worldview, then they'll make another conspiracy to then say, oh, actually, that person who tried to debunk a certain idea, they're a paid operative, or whatever you call them, a paid agent. You know, they must be paid. So you start getting down deeper and deeper into like paranoia and thinking that everyone's out to get you. But that's not a healthy mindset to be in. To think, it's like you get these people that think they're targeted individuals, right? I mean, it's crazy to feel like that that the world is out to get you like that, you know? I mean, yeah, if you have a certain level of fame and that you're very influential, then at that point you could call yourself that if you're outspoken and all that. But just your average, random, everyday person isn't going to be a targeted individual. No one cares about you if you're just somebody, that you're just a nobody. I mean, like, I would say the Democrats and the left are all just as bad, you know? Well, people want to just like be like, oh, the Republicans and all that crap. It's like, to me, they're all just, you know? I see it all as just, you know, left and right, two wings of the same bird. I've never voted. You know, I'm not one of these people that thinks that you can vote your way out of this system. It's all the same. It's the system itself that is fucked, and that nobody that you vote for is going to, you know, do anything really. And you might argue about who's doing a worse job, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. You know, for example, you know, debt has continued to go up no matter who's president. So yeah, there was this, you know, chart where it's shown like, you know, US debt, you know, regardless of whoever's in, continues to go up. So I'd say, like, you know, you could argue, well, one might be worse than the other on certain issues or whatever, and then, but at the end of the day, they're all bought and paid for. They're all shills. Thoughts on Elon Musk? I just don't really pay attention to that stuff. I saw something about, you know, the whole Epstein thing and all that. I don't know. I mean, to me, it's just more controversy, and it could just be, I don't know what's going on. I just don't really, to me, it's just more theater. I just don't really trust a lot of the stuff that I see online anymore and on the news or whatever. It's just, I just see it all as like a lot of it's just a bunch of theater. It just keeps everybody distracted. I mean, but yeah, was Joe Biden really any better? I mean, Joe Biden, yeah, was, you might say, well, Barack Obama was better. You know, people would, you know, try and, you know, say that, you know, he's not good either, and they had their own reasons for it. It's like, I was watching this video earlier, that was talking about like, you know, why Britain's shit now. And you had some people, you know, they would complain about illegal immigration, for example. But then there would also be people in that same video who would be saying that Britain's shit because they're treating illegal immigrants like shit. So I don't know. I mean, I think that, you know, the whole, you know, immigrant thing, because that's where, like, say, like the left and the right tends to disagree a lot on, is like, in terms of like, well, not just illegal immigrants, but, you know, immigrants in general. But what I'm saying is, the way I see it is that, you know, that we've got like people who've paid into the system their whole life to see these people get, you know, granted, you know, sort of these hotels and stuff. But, you know, there is also times when, like I said, you know, we've been hearing about, you know, they're wanting to like really treat these people bad as well. So I mean, you're gonna get like things on both sides that are not fair. You're gonna get like where you've got, say, immigrants being unfairly treated in a positive or a negative way. So I guess it just depends really where you are or who's actually like in charge. But like, yeah. So, you know, it's just, but it's really just a sign of the times that's you know, the whole kind of, you know, this stuff going on. But what I'm saying is that, you know, there is a kind of nefarious agenda going on. I believe that they are trying to bring these people in to just, well, what this guy was saying is trying to get rid of the middle class, because these people work for far less, and by doing that, that then basically means that in order for, say, you to get a job, then you would have to then try and compete with all that, you know? How are you going to compete with, you know, when they'll do that? So a lot of people are being forced out of this country now, and I think that's probably what they're trying to do. What you're probably going to see is more and more people are going to be forced out and go to a cheaper country, and then these people are going to move in. So hi Muffin Seaman, how you doing? I hope you're well. Oh really? Who's Thomas? Anyway, what's this stable coin on about? The crypto shit. I don't really trust crypto either. I think it's a bit of a scam, a lot of it. To me, it's just like a form of gambling. Anything that's like gambling, I just don't like it. Anything to do with like speculation. Now, yeah, you can make money through crypto, but I just feel like it's just not a very reliable way to make money in the long term. It's just, I'd rather, if I was want to make some money, it would have to be through some kind of physical asset or something like that, whether that be a business or whether that be even things like property investing, because at least you're investing in an actual asset that, you know, that appreciates in value over time, generally speaking, and you can make dividends off the rental income. So you can make dividends off the rental income and off the value of the property. So you get in like potentially two different income streams in the long term. Let's say you buy a house at, you know, 200K, you rent it out, and then after, you know, let's say you've paid it off at, you know, 20 odd years or whatever, and it's now worth $500,000 or even $1 million if the, you know, the way that the, you know, the market goes or something, you know, it just skyrockets in value or something. But Yeah, central banks would really be bad, but even just a lot of this crypto that we have now, it's too volatile, you know? It's just, if you're going to put your money in there, this is not financial advice, but what I would do is don't put much in it. Just put like a small percentage of your income in, because otherwise it's not good. And maybe diversify it. Because, yeah, but you get all these people out there trying to be like, oh, this is the new secret to like make money off crypto. Well, the reality is that, you know, there's not like some secret, really. It's just, you know, if you're going to want to make money on crypto, then you're going to potentially be waiting years. That's what it all comes down to, is knowing the right time to put in and then hoping for the best. And it could take years, but you just never know. Something could happen and it crashes, you know? There's all sorts that could happen with crypto. I just don't find it very safe. But, you know, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but I just don't really trust it. Yeah, well, I would say that's the same thing with what we've got. You know, we've got this. What is it? You know, Keir Starmer. What does he even stand for? Because he obviously doesn't stand for the, you know, just like your ordinary people who are struggling. He doesn't give a fuck about them. All he cares about is his own bottom line. Yeah, it's just all he cares about is just, you know, what he can get out of being a prime minister, rather than, you know, what he can give to the people. You know, you've got this like responsibility to actually do what's right for your people, but yet the quality of people's lives since then just keeps getting worse. The prices just keep going up on everything. Like, I've just had you know, keep seeing all these products just going up in price all the fucking time. It's just absolutely just disgraceful. I mean, I thought it would have kind of slowed down, but it's just, you know, inflation, I think, is going back up again, isn't it? And I bet you you know, people's wages ain't gonna keep up with that, are they? You know, because it's just all a bunch of bullshit. And they'll come up with some excuses, you know, as to why, you know, oh, we need to put the prices up because of whatever reason, supply and demand or whatever bullshit. But you like, you know, and then you end up with like the billionaires and whatever making record profits. So there's obviously somebody profiteering off it all, and just yeah. Whereas the poorest of people, they just end up screwed over. This is all this massive Ponzi scheme at society that we live in. You know, society, there's a big Ponzi scheme where it's just like, it's like you get these people saying that, oh, well, we need the rich so that they can, you know, to make more profit so that they can provide more jobs. But like, if it wasn't for them making so much profit for them to provide the jobs, then it would allow others to provide the jobs in a competitive market. But you've got so much so you've got so much monopolies that a lot of businesses can't even, they struggle to even stay afloat. So whether you're left or right, it's like, yeah, hello, One Dark Rep, how are you? It's like, whether you're left or right or whatever, you know, it doesn't matter, because they're all just trying to screw you over. You know, all these companies, and yeah, trickle down is a lot of bullshit. Yeah, it's absolutely just it's a complete fallacy, because yeah, it's just a lie that they propagate to have like the ordinary people think that that's how the system needs to be. So they never question, well, why does there need to be all these billionaires when there's people struggling to even put food on the table? You know? Oh, you went to the gym. Oh, yeah. I just cut my skin, look. So I have these calluses, but look under that. I was messing around on like these bars and stuff, and eventually it just kind of, yeah. You know, at a certain point, it's just going to, something's going to give, isn't it, you know? Yeah. Anyway, so, yeah, things aren't going to go well forever, are they? Something's going to give eventually. Anyway, hit the like button, guys. Yeah. So you guys want to talk about anyway. So what did you do at the gym today anyway? Maybe I would have done an outdoor workout, but I haven't got any credit. Sorry about any data on my phone, so I can't do that right now until I get the new data. So I'm not just gonna like pay for data right now. Anyway, we've got 9 likes. Can you like the live, guys? But I shouldn't have to ask because it comes up on the screen. So yeah, look at the Romans. Eventually, the economy will collapse. Yeah, what do you mean? What about? No longer a theory, it's proven not to work. Yeah, trickle down. That's what they call Reaganomics. It's yeah, but there's people that still believe in it. It's just people who just want to hold so much onto the system, like the capitalist system, whatever. And I mean, you could say there's some good things about capitalism, but it's just, but there needs to be some degree of regulation, I believe. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. And you have all this monopoly. Now, you could say, well, it's the government that actually creates the monopolies, and I think there is some truth to that, but I also think that corporations need to be, held to account, and they also need to be restricted on how much profits they can make, how much land they can buy, and things like that. There's got to be some restrictions. It's like I believe in freedom and free trade, but then not at the expense of everybody else, though, because then that restricts on other people's freedom. You can borrow against a house, make it. You think why a lot of these places like Blackstone have no intention on selling the 300k plus homes as long as the equity goes up. Yeah, it's just like a cash cow basically, isn't it? Yeah, they'll just kind of keep on, increasing value over time, and then yeah. But at some point, they're eventually going to have to sell it. Otherwise, they're just going to be holding on to value that they can't do anything with. I don't know. What are they going to do? Just pass it on to the next of kin or something? But you'll never see that value. It's just mad how much a house costs, you could do so much for that money, Rent and house it and bailout, all right. It's like there's the people that do say like equity release where they sell their house off to somebody, and then I've heard there was a bit of a scandal about all that or something, because they're saying how you can stay in your house or something, but then someone ended up being forced out into like a static caravan or something. I don't know, but so I don't know how true all that thing is, like the whole equity release thing where someone gets old and then they release the equity from the house, but they're still able to live in it, and then the people will sell it on when you're gone or something. Is that the whole idea? But it seems too good to be true, though. And they say when something seems too good to be true, it probably is. But yeah, 300k for a home now is actually not much above like the UK average. So Catherine Austin fits, all right. So what's that about? So is that about the whole housing situation? It's just mad because you can get a house way cheaper in some other country, but that's because their economy is a lot more deflated than ours. I was watching this guy and he said they can get a hut for like under 25,000, I think, in whatever country it was. I think it was one of the Southeast Asian ones. It might have been Vietnam or something like that, one of those countries. Yes, and more. Okay, might have to check that out. But yeah, it's just. But it's like, then again, it's like, would you even want to live in a hut though? So I suppose there's a trade-off. But the thing is that how much did it actually cost to make all this shit? You know. I don't know. Like it's just messed up how people would be spending. You know, some people are spending. I think what's the average rent in the UK? Yeah, let's have a look and see what the average rent price in the UK. Yeah, let's see. So it's saying here that the average rent. What's that? So this was in April of 2025. The average rent was £1,307, up 0.7% since April. The average rent in England is £1,381, and Wales is £785, and Scotland's average is £998. Is that because in Wales it doesn't have as like big cities like London and places like that will probably bring up the average? But let's just say, for example, the average rent was like £1,000 a month, like just in your like average kind of city, like your average rent in the middle of a city somewhere that's just yeah, for like, you know, you're probably getting paid like in a lot of cases, you know, you're not going to be in a lot of cases much more than say 3,000 a month for just your average job or something. And then you've got to like take into account like taxes, you've got to take into account, you know, necessary bills. A lot of people are just, they're completely decimated financially. So 1.2 M, what's that? Is that in London or something? Hi, Haley, how's it going? Welcome to the live. I hope you're well. So, yeah, so that's, but yeah, obviously, like, you know, in London, it's like, I think I remember it was something like 2,000 average, but obviously you're going to need to be earning at least 6,000-7,000 a month to get by there. Hi, Noel. Oh yeah, Noel, it's maybe a distant relation or something, but yeah, anyway, welcome in. How's it going? Yes, property tax, aka paying rent to the government. Yeah, it says that a thing in the UK then, the property tax. So how much is that then? It's like, that's why a lot of people are just deciding to live in a van or something. Like just get themselves a van and just live in that, and just otherwise what's the what is the point in paying all this rent or mortgage to either a corporate landlord or government or something? I just don't see the point. It's like, you know, unless you can just get it for free. Where have I been? I'm only here every day, but maybe, I don't know if you've just not gotten notified or some shit. You know, it's just, yeah. Alright, anyway. So yeah, I hope you've had a good day today, guys. Yeah, just, I don't know. It's just keep this going for a little while. But yeah, it's just everyone's just getting screwed over basically. A lot of people would rather just live in a hut or live in a van or a tent rather than pay money, suck up to the government, suck up to, the system in general, like the corporations and all that. Like, why would anyone want to have to do that? I have a VR now. You mean virtual reality? Something or what? It's like, we should just be living true to our own passion, our own destiny, and all that, and not be sucking up to anybody. Yeah. All right. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Who else is still in here then? Yeah. It's just a shame that more people don't show up when I'm just kind of trying to talk about things that are like real issues going on, and I don't know. It is what it is. Imagine paying a 30-year loan and interest and property tax and insurance, and after you painted your house but didn't check in with the HOA and losing your home and investment. What, you mean HOA? Yeah, it's all just so corrupt, isn't it? You don't actually really own your own home or something. Hi, Guy. Oh, well done. Congratulations. So you're trying to get monetized then or something. But yeah, it's just so messed up, isn't it, when you pay so much for something and then you could just end up getting it took off you. If you fail your payments for the mortgage and that, for 3 months or something, and then they can just take your house off you, you lose it all. You've lost all that, your deposit or whatever, and they just, yeah. So they make you put down like, at least 10-20% in a deposit, isn't it? Something, so, which can be hard for a lot of people to even save that money. Because people can be like, oh, we'll just buy a house. But then for a lot of people, that's more difficult now. What do you expect people to do? Just live like a slum for years just to be able to afford it, but yeah, just to end up having a 30-year loan, because a lot of mortgages are like 30 years now. It used to be at one time I think like 15 years, because like back in the days when a house only costed like 40 grand or something, or even less, that you could get houses for like, well, actually my grandma was saying that when she were like little, I think that when she bought her house, listen to this, right? This is mad. She bought a house in 1980 for, I think it was £11,000. Yeah, that was in 1980. So that's only like 45 years ago. So it was in 1980, it was £11,000. So how much were they actually earning back then? And yeah, that's it's just crazy, isn't it? That things have changed so much. Like, yeah, so 1980, what was the average wage? Let's have a look. Average salary, 1980, UK average salary. What's that? An inch of what? Sorry. So average salary was £6,000. That's like annual salary. Hang on, wait a second. No, hang on, I'm getting confused now. So it's in 19,000 now. That can't be right. I mean, let's put in wage, not salary, wage. Let's annual. Oh, hang on a second. It's saying that it comes out to 19,000 in today's money. Something. Is that because of inflation? Is that what it's saying or something? To be honest, I think AI is going to make a lot of people homeless soon, and they are trying to take out people as much as possible. and as quiet as possible because it replaces a lot of jobs. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I might make a video on the whole AI situation because it's just mental. So I'm just trying to. Yeah, so in 1980, it was saying that the average was 6,000 annually. And just like saying it would come out to 19,000 in today's money. That doesn't seem right because, like, I'm like, it's something like 30 something thousand the average now, but I'm like, it doesn't add up to me that because I don't know. Or is it? I'm just trying to. Yeah, the average. Hang on a second. No, it was saying that in 1979, the average 90, salary ranges from approximately. Oh no, that's for like other things, like managers and stuff. But let's say versus now. So let's try and compare them. I'm trying to like compare what it was back in 1980 to now. So if we look at like average, house price in 1980 was what is it, 22,676 with a average salary of 6,000 apparently. But now it's like you've got average salary 29,600 with an average house price of 288,000. So you're looking at almost 10 times the salary, even going by these numbers. I don't know how trustworthy they are, but let's just argue that they are accurate. But then you look at it before, 6,000, and the average house price was 22,676 in 1980. So what is 6,000 out of 22,000? That's about one quarter, or just over one quarter of the of the house price is the national. So basically, they have to save up for about probably about 3.75 years. But take into account, and then you've got average salary of 29,600, house price 288,000. So that means they're going to have to save up a lot longer to buy a house, according to this. So the national, so I mean, like with the average salary, more than twice as long it's going to take to get on the housing ladder. Anyway, all things being equal, so United Nations, yeah. But yeah, it's just all. It's like no one hardly seems to question any of it. People just accepting it. It's like, oh yeah, that's just life. It's like, nah, I don't accept that. It's why is anyone accepting this? Everyone should be all fucking. I think people should be out in the fucking streets and be like, this can't be right, People should be pissed off, but it's like they're just so numb that they just, I don't know. Maybe it's just, I don't know if it's apathy or whatever. There's a lot of apathy, I believe. Maybe it's just because people have become kind of, they make you kind of just give you enough entertainment just to make you happy enough to not care enough to make changes. But when you see statistics like this, people should really be fucking pissed off because some people don't even know how things used to be, where you could get a house for like so much less. Like I said, my grandma, I think, got a house for like 11,000 in 1980. So, yeah, like it was a 2-bedroom house or whatever, and it was like, why is it that it has to? Because nowadays, I think they sold it off for about 90,000. So that's about 8 times what they bought it for. You're not telling me that the wages have gone up 8 times since then? And that was sold off a few years ago, so it's probably worth 100K now, actually. But, like, yeah, it's just, what's that? Not even that people were different. Yeah, no, everything's changed now, hasn't it? Everyone used to be more community oriented, and yeah, maybe that's why people are just so desperate for attention now, I guess, because because they ain't getting it in the real world. Everyone's just kind of irrelevant in the real world, aren't they? You go out, most of the time no one even hardly acknowledges you. They just kind of, like, because everyone's just in their own bubble. So it just makes you feel irrelevant. And so if you're like, oh, all these, narcissists and all that, well, maybe it's because society's just become so fucked up that, people are looking online for attention. It's just, we have to look at, we need to maybe start going back to, but maybe that's never going to happen though. Yeah, it would be nice if people could just show some appreciation for each other, acknowledge each other's existence, rather than just be, but we all do it, I guess. So we're all just in our own bubble. It's all this, individualism that we're in now that, I don't know. It just makes me not even want to go outside anymore, because you do get the odd person that's nice. There's one up the road who, is friendly and all that. Hi, Anton, how you doing? Hope you're well. We do what, sorry? A Walmart greetings. All right. Well, that's good then. But, yeah. I'd just be like, well, yeah. If people were more friendly, then, maybe that would help with the mental health and stuff like that. Maybe people would be feeling a bit more, loved and appreciated. But nowadays, it's just worse than ever. It was bad enough before, but, like, everyone's become so individualized, and it's like, yeah, it's good to be an individual and all that, but when you lack that community, then that just can really, it's not good for the soul, is it? Just talking about the destruction of our, yeah. I mean, I could go as far to say that the destruction of civilization, because that's where it seems to be coming to. All this stuff, like I said, before, about the way that, that the world has become. People are more lonely, people are more just toxic than ever as well. There's just degradation of morals and ethics, and it's only getting worse. And there's nothing we can really do, I don't think. And like I said, with AI coming in, it just makes everything worse. And maybe is there some kind of light at the end of the tunnel though? Because I remember watching this video saying that in the age of AI, then human interaction will become more important, because people tend to want what they can't have, and they start to crave it more when it's not when something's in short supply, or something's not so accessible. People crave after it more. So who knows how things are going to go, but it's like the whole dating situation. Is that ever going to fix itself, or or just keep going more and more towards being lonely and just, I mean, you've got all this hookup culture, but that's just like, to me, that's just a bunch of degenerate shit and devoid of any actual meaning and nothing special about it. It's just, yeah, people treating each other like they're disposable and they just move on to the next one. But yeah, that's not something I support. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't know. It's just sometimes I can't help but sort of see the worst in things. And there's good people out there. I've got to keep reminding myself that there is helpful people out there. And you've got to be careful not to focus too much on the negativity, because you'll see it more in your reality when you focus on it. It's like your brain will like automatically just kind of look for that negativity. So we have to be careful about that. And it's hard because sometimes you just can't see much good. But maybe just go look at some stuff online of good deeds that people have done. I don't know. Kind of a vibe. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's like I get vibes off people, and I just find there's a lot of fake people now that are just, they act all like a certain way, but I just don't really trust them. I just feel like there's something like an ulterior motive or something like that, and I'm like, what are they really here for? There's a lot of chameleons out there. But yeah. But there's this guy who's like kind of he's getting like, quite a few views on his YouTube channel. I was going on about him the other day. Somebody called Shameless Spurg, and he's gotten like 17,000 subs. But I watched a little bit of his thing, and he said that he had banned accounts or something. But the thing is, it's like, it seems as though these type of channels do well, where it's like they can have some kind of, I don't know. To me, it's like, unless you've got some really extreme opinion or something, and I don't know, then it's like people seem to kind of not really pay that much attention. But it's just one of these people that's like outspoken with like some, where they go on about, I just feel like it's kind of playing into the division, and so maybe that's why it's being pushed. It's like, you'd think like, why isn't this channel getting taken down for all? I mean, I suppose if he's had other accounts taken down, then I don't know. But I mean, it's like, but I just feel like when you start kind of focusing on black crime, it's like, well, okay, but anybody, you can commit crime no matter what their color is and all that. And I just feel like it's like, even if the truth is that, it mostly is from a certain race, but most of the people from that race aren't criminals. It furthers that division. It's like if some black guy said all white guys are racist or something like that. That wouldn't be a fair thing to say. And I just feel like that some of these channels are kind of just playing into that whole kind of narrative of the whole black versus white thing, and just, I don't like that kind of shit, it's just, like we should really be coming together, and it's like, yeah, there's things going on. There's things going on with immigration and whatever. There's things going on across the pond. There's like but at the end of the day, you know, like it's not helping anyone to really be. I don't know how it's helping anyone to just keep going on about black crimes. So I'm sure there's a lot of white criminals out there as well. Yeah, it's just the whole system is fucked, and it's like, shouldn't we be focusing on addressing the root of all of the problems that we're seeing? Like, and yeah, I don't know. I just, it's like, I understand, say like someone gets stabbed or whatever, but these are like, it's not like it's happening to like every other person or something like that. It's like, how many people do you know that have been stabbed to death by some immigrant or something like that? Like, just think about that, how many do you actually know? Because the chances are it's probably zero. And if you're one that does know people, then it's like, you're probably an outlier. Because these things aren't happening as much as what the media would have you think, because they'll just hype up a bunch of stories. And I mean, it's like, you can go on about disproportionate representation, but the fact of the matter is that, that most of them aren't going to be that way. And yeah, people should be held to account, whatever race they are. But it doesn't mean that we should be, sort of treating them all differently just because they're from a certain race. Like, we're in 2025, we should be past all this shit of, like, kind of, trying to kind of, go on about race and all this shit. So I'm sick of hearing people talking about race and, white privilege or black crimes or whatever bullshit. It's like, we need to just kind of come together, and there's bigger issues out there that are actually, like I said, the whole system is crumbling, and people are just focusing on the symptoms of it rather than the actual cause. It's like they have us all distracted. And yeah, there's tragic things happening, but the media will just hype these things up. Whenever something happens, like George Floyd or some other incident, it gets everybody riled up on both sides. So that's exactly what they want. And yeah, it's just, but it's just, and I start talking about this stuff, then you're going to have people with their own opinions and stuff, but like, anyway, news is trying to start a race war, probably to keep us from focusing on momentary politics. They are passing like the one big beautiful bill. I need to read it. To be fair, I can't believe anything, right? Yeah, there's like all these bills that they're like kind of secretly passing whilst everyone's all bickering about something that's relatively a lot less significant, because when it comes to bills, when it comes to laws, these are things that are going to affect everybody, whether you're white or black, able, disabled, these are all things that are going to have implications. It's like they've been having these like free speech laws and whatever, and like, whereas like if someone puts something out on Facebook that's offensive, they could get thrown in jail for that. But yet someone could do something really bad to a minor and then get a less sentence. It's just crazy. Like, now you could say, oh, well, that person was inciting violence or some shit. But like, were they really though? Because they can just come up with some excuse and be like, oh, well, that was hate speech. But who gets to decide what's hate speech? Because that's the dangerous thing. We all didn't decide that. It was decided by some authorities that they thought, oh, well, that could be dangerous speech or something. So I've been predicting for a while that we will probably go into some civil war or something, and with all this stuff going on, with all the people have been getting pissed off with things for quite a while now, and it's just been getting worse and worse. Now, yeah, you could end up with a world war or whatever, but yeah, that's right, Anton. It's yeah, yeah. It's just that you get people like Tommy Robinson and all that are like, hello to you, not a cult of personality. What's that? What we're saying, world fatigue. You know about the whole like apathy is, some people call it, but it's like people call it apathy, but it could just be like burnout. Like people just feel burnt out. It's not that they are apathetic by nature or anything. It's just that they're just kind of given up on. It's like people are giving up on trying to buy a house because, like I said, the prices have gotten so high, and I think small quotes like that are a gift to the generation. So many good ones. Yeah, that's it. That's one that's a good one in the Age of Universe. It's all deceit. Telling the truth is considered a revolutionary act. Yeah, I've heard that quite a few times actually. I mean, what other ones is there? Yeah, there's another one that goes. I don't know who said it, but it goes something like, "The truth is hate speech to those who hate the truth." So, does anyone know who said that one? Because I quite like that one as well, because you get that where it's like people like going back to the whole free speech, hate speech thing, that something's deemed as hate speech because you criticize a certain thing. For example, someone might criticize the Israeli government and then get lumped in as an anti-Semite, which is absolutely ridiculous. Like, what's that got to do with being an anti-Semite? That you don't agree that all this money's being siphoned off to Israel or whatever, and that they're a corrupt government and they're just like basically committing war crimes. Apparently that makes you an anti-Semite according to some people. Even though the word Semite actually, let's look at what the word Semite actually means, because it just goes to show you the level of brainwashing that people get, that they don't even know what they're talking about. So this just kind of goes to prove it. So a Semite, a member of any of the peoples who speak or spoke a Semitic language, including Jews and Arabs and the ancient peoples. So basically, most of them are actually Arabs. So why are you calling them anti-Semites? You know? There's going to be far more of them actually Arabs, but they just they put out all this kind of gaslighting language about people being anti-Semites. Remember there was that thing on Coronation Street when someone was questioning, like going on about the Rothschilds banks and all that, all owned by Rothschilds and all these things. And then this woman was, talking to this person that had been speaking with, saying that, the Rothschilds owning all the banks and all that's a classic anti-Semitic trope. It's like, what are you even talking about? You don't even know what you're talking about. But it's like they're deliberately pushing out this narrative of, if you question anything that has anything to do with Israel, then you're instantly anti-Semitic. But most of them, are not Jewish, actually Arabs. So, that's interesting, isn't it, Yeah. But it's like, but how many people actually hate Jews, Because if they were to actually call it Jew hatred, then people would be like, huh? What, these people hate Jews? Because, that sounds like a much more, that's a much more kind of, you could say quite egregious, I think is the right word for it. Something that's, to say someone's a Jew hater, because that would be a very strong thing to say. But it kind of gets this idea in people's head that if you question anything to do with Israel, then you're an anti-Semite. It's just crazy, isn't it? Because the thing is, a lot of these Israeli people aren't even proper Jews anyway. A lot of them are just they're just kind of Jewish by nationality, but then oftentimes a lot of their blood isn't even Jewish. It only has to be half Jewish or something, and then a lot of them are like, it's like, what does it even mean to be a Jew? Because a lot of them aren't even Jew by faith. Maybe they have culture or something, but it's a very loose definition anyway. So it's like you get people say like Mark Zuckerberg, and he's considered as a Jew, but I think he's only half Jewish or something. If you actually look at the original people from Israel, they don't look anything like what we get now. They look a lot more like Asians, actually. They look similar to like Arabs. They're kind of like, because Israel's like further south than Turkey, so it's only just like up a little bit from Egypt. So like the type of people that you get there would have been like, fairly dark complexion, but yet we have these kind of. So it's like, what does it even mean to be a Jew? Let's have a look. Because I bet you it's going to come up with a whole bunch of different definitions that are not even like, it's like, So it's saying that it's a member of the people and cultural community whose traditional religion is Judaism and who trace their origins through the ancient Hebrew people of Israel to Abraham. So, right. So let's have a look at this other one, the basic definition of a Jew. So it's saying that they practice the Jewish religion, which includes both converts and those who have been members of the Jewish religion since birth. But yet you get people who are called Jews who don't actually follow the religion, right? That there's ones what they call secular Jews. So what does it even mean? Yeah. Because if we're only talking about a religion here, then it would be like saying anti-Christian or something. It's like I don't know, because so apparently you can be a secular Jew, but you identify with the Jewish people and culture. But you could be just like sort of. So what I'm saying is that you're either an ethnic Jew, religious Jew, cultural Jew. It's a very loose definition. And a lot of them even are non-ethnic because they're like what they call Ashkenazi Jews from like Eastern Europe. So basically, yeah, the whole thing of the anti-Semite is just a way to just demonize anybody who's like saying, about the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds. It's nothing to do with hating on Jews or anything like that. It's just that it just happens that a lot of these elitists just happen to be, connected in some way. Now, that's not my fault that they just happen to be from either that religion or that country or whatever. But, yeah. But just for calling out, people and say like, that saying that these banks are all, the central banks owned by Rothschilds, it really has nothing to do with anti-Semitism. I mean, I'm not a fan of, Jeremy Corbyn, but, he was demonized about being an anti-Semite. Something that's like, well, was he really? Or was he just against the government or something? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so like it's a very loose thing, isn't it? It's kind of fluid in a sense that's kind of, they don't all practice Judaism, but they might practice the culture, or it might just be that they are ethnically Jewish and that because they come from that land or something. Hi, Guy, welcome back. So, yeah, it's just, I don't know. Like I said, that it's just you get the news, the media, it all rots your brain. Just telling you all these things, trying to basically get people to be like, oh, well, it's like we're not talking about any race in particular, we're just, I mean, as long as you're not just focusing on one race and just being like, oh, well, just talking about the banks and how they're from a certain race. If you're just talking about, like the elites in general and, like your Bill Gates and all these people that are just power hungry and all that. free speech isn't just about protecting the things you want to hear. It's also about protecting the things you don't want to hear. That way you can't dictate what the rest of us hear. Rob Schneider, right? Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, because it's like you've got to just kind of be able to hear viewpoints different to your own. But sometimes I can get triggered when people just seem to be so kind of. I think it's more just when people say stuff that's just kind of really stupid and just like. More, it just frustrates me, like when it's just like, I don't know, but I do feel like people should be able to have their own platform to say their views. It's just, if people start, I just, sometimes I can't be dealing with certain things in the chat where I'm like, just frustrates me sometimes, where I'm like, you're just wrong, you're just, and I just can't be asked trying to argue with these people. And yeah. So I have to just let them go because it just distracts me and it just, yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's okay. We have to risk offending others in the pursuit of free speech. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. And if you're offended, then you have to kind of question, like, why am I so easily offended? Why can't I take that someone else has an opinion? It's like, if you don't like someone's opinion, you can just kind of like disengage with that person and just say, hey, I don't really agree with that. And yeah, you don't have to like snitch on them or cause a scene or whatever. And it's just well, yeah, they want us all fighting. And yeah, if you're offended, get over it. Yeah. It's not that I get offended, I just find some of the stuff that people say at times can get a bit ridiculous. And it's just like when I start arguing about religion, and I just, like, none of it makes any sense to me. But I try not to talk about that because it just pisses me off. Because, like, I just feel like people are believing in just such horse shit. But then you'll have your own opinion, so yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I probably won't be on much longer, guys. Probably should get off soon. Yeah, oh well. Yeah. Hello, look after your piece of the planet. I'm alright, thank you. How are you? Yeah. I'm doing okay, I guess. That's good then. Evolution, creation, both are faith-based. Well, I understand the whole thing, but yeah. I mean, there's also a possibility we could be in some advanced simulation of some kind. I'm more along the lines that if there is a God, then it's not a nice one. Like, there's just too many unanswered questions for me to... But like I said, I don't want to keep getting involved in arguing. to me, either God isn't really that powerful, or he's not a good person, or he doesn't exist. Because there's all this suffering in the world. If he's all powerful, then why is there suffering at all? Because surely he would be powerful enough to create a reality where that doesn't need to exist. Yeah, it would be faith-based or whatever, because we don't understand how it all works, but I'm just talking from a point of view of none of it makes sense from a religious point of view, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not arguing, I'm just, that's what I think, and because if I'm just going to try and argue with people, I'm just going to piss me off, and just like, because people are accepting this reality as it is, people are accepting that, oh, God's created this reality and it's just full of suffering and it doesn't do anything to stop it. No, humans don't create suffering. You're born suffering, and you probably suffer before you even are born. You know, suffering shouldn't need to be there. But like I said, I'm not here to argue. I'm just like when I start thinking about suffering, is that nature. So maybe that's what it is, nature then, and there is no God. It's just nature. That's just nature's way of doing things. You know, we get pain because it's telling us there's something wrong, but if there's a God who knows everything, then he can surely tell us that there's something wrong and not have to have us go through pain to find out. You got people going through pain all their life with bad, health problems and shit. Why do they have to go through all that? Why can't they just kind of off themselves then? So apparently that's a sin to do that. So yeah, I'm just I'm not gonna argue because I ain't got time to just argue over philosophy or whatever. And yeah, I just think that this suffering's fucked. It shouldn't have to be this way. It's not just physical suffering, but also mental, and it's just no one's coming to save you. This is what I've come to realize. What are you saying? Hang on. I can't see the comment properly on here. It's nature, it's... What's that? Something indifferent to our suffering. But I thought you were talking about God or something, and if God is all powerful, then and it's all good. If it's all loving and all powerful, then surely it wouldn't be indifferent to suffering. So I'm talking about it from the point of view that God is this loving person that's all powerful, according to the Bible. Supposedly that's what God is, right? An infinite being. So if we're going by that kind of something that has infinite possibilities of, so if it knows everything that's going to happen, then does he know everything that's going to happen, or is he just going to, because if he knew everything that's going to happen, then he'd know who he's going to send to hell. So it depends if you believe in hell. Some people don't believe in that part of it, but some people believe that hell just means to be perished. Yeah, because I'm just like, that's not a God that I would want to worship. One that created pain and suffering. I don't like the idea of worship, full stop. It just sounds like yeah. I mean, I understand you'd want to kind of, if there was a God, then you'd want to appreciate, for the giving life, but like to have to just kind of keep doing these mantras all the time just for the sake of it. Is there any need for that? I mean, I agree with that, and I think we should be doing that anyway, regardless of whether there's a God or not. It's like people saying that, oh, they use the Bible or whatever for, to learn about morality and all that. But to me, it's like we should be doing that anyway. We shouldn't need to be looking in some storybook for moral guidance. I think some people need to actually kind of just take a step back and actually look within themselves. I'm talking to myself as well here, that they have to kind of like look inward for their own moral guidance, because oftentimes we're being so distracted that we're getting influences from outside, and that can corrupt your own moral guidance, your own moral compass. And then we just so maybe through meditation or something, you could find out what you want to be and how you want to go about life in a fair sort of way, because sometimes we can get distracted by so much nonsense that we start to focus on the wrong things. We start to focus on materialism and vanity and all that, and we've all been, well, not all of us, but a lot of us have been there, that it can just destroy your soul and all that. So what you're saying, it's just about, but to me, like, we should be just doing that anyway. But yeah, it's a whole like, praying all the time. Some people pray multiple times a day. Like, is that really necessary? I mean, what's the point of any of that? I mean, I don't need to get into any arguments. I'm just curious of like what makes people believe what they believe. Because I've been sucked down the whole conspiracy stuff, and I try to come out of it and be more balanced. I'd say I'm more in the middle now, and I'm kind of I don't just believe in random stuff now. I'm more kind of centered. I'm not just gonna automatically believe something just because of a feeling. A lot of people, they go by a gut feeling or something. They go by, oh, something feels real, rather than about objective reality. Because a lot of things are on it, emotion and like, I don't know. Like, people can get so kind of passionate about a certain theory that there's not actual proof for. But yeah. But yeah, organized religion is just a trap that a lot of people get into. It's like, I actually got stopped by a Latter-day Saint the other year, and he just like acted as though he was this kind of it was just this chance encounter, and it was all done to obviously manipulate. And yeah, like, what are the chances that he was just happened to be there, and it was all planned, wasn't it? He saw me go past, and he was like, "Oh, I'll stop this guy," and he was saying, "Oh, I need to find my way to the park or something," and so I ended up walking with him. So it wasn't just like, yeah. So it was obviously all kind of, he knew what he was doing, and yeah. Just seemed to be kind of full of shit, to be honest. Because I was talking about some of my plans for because I was planning to do some like big bike rides and stuff, and he was going on about being into that stuff himself, but he didn't exactly look like he was in the best health. Like in terms of, he looks like he was, maybe his diet wasn't the greatest and whatever, and it just didn't look like he was living the lifestyle that he claimed to be. So, of course, not everyone's going to look perfect. Not everyone's going to look the healthiest, even when they do put in effort. But, yeah, he didn't exactly look in shape, shall we say. Yeah, he was getting on a bit, but, he's probably been kind of abusing his body for quite a while. And, he actually looks relatively all right for his age. I think he was, 70 years old. So... But the thing is that you notice these people that tend to be more in shape, actually you can actually age them a bit because it makes the wrinkles come out more. So, oh yeah, the Trump impression. Oh yeah, but this oh yeah, I don't like Elon. Elon's a terrible person. Sunrise has just occurred down under. Oh, really? Yeah. I thought down under was where the sun never shines. So yeah, just I don't know, I just feel like this whole life is a bit of a scam, really. People get promised so many things, don't they? They get promised well, it might not necessarily be a promise, but it's suggested at very least that, people do all this work, and then they end up with the American dream sort of thing. Well, it's not the American dream here, obviously, but you know what I mean? It's like that type of life. People have these ideas that they do the right things, and then their life is set up. They can retire early, and they can still, and they can have a family to see them all the time, and they can just enjoy their, then they can enjoy the twilight years more. They end up with a good pension, and they can just finish. They can get to 50 and they retire, and they own a house. And they might even have some passive rental income or something like that. But most people never get to that point nowadays because they're just well, like I said, they can't get on the property ladder, a lot of them. So a lot of people are just opting out of society altogether. They're opting out of working for the system that doesn't even reward them anymore. So talking about the statistics earlier about how much houses cost now relative to inflation, it's just crazy. Who can afford that shit, It's like they could get a house within 3 or 4, not 3, the house price would cost about 3 or 4 years worth of wages. Of course, you can't just save up all that money, but they could have gotten themselves a deposit quite easily or a down payment quite easily, and just like I said, pay it off in 15 years, maybe less. Now, yeah, people didn't live as long back then actually, so you have that, I suppose, where people were only getting to well, I suppose back in 1980, it wasn't that much different. If you was born in 50s or whatever, that chances are your life expectancy is similar to what you have now. So yeah, so that hasn't really changed that much actually. But you could have bought a house in like, I mean, you could have paid it off in a few years. Some people might have paid it off in like 5, 10 years, depending on how well they were doing. They get a mortgage for like, they buy a house at like I said, my grandma in 1980 bought a house for like £11,000. So, and I think it ended up getting sold for like 90,000 a few years ago after she died. So, the difference in price there, it's crazy. And that's well above inflation. It's like inflation doesn't account for that. It's like capital appreciation, but it's all a big Ponzi scheme, isn't it, It's like those that, bought in early, they cash in from all the people who were struggling at the bottom. It's just all parasitic, and it's kind of scummy, really, the way that, a lot of these, people will just then, buy up these houses and then just rent them out to people, and then after it all, they'll just cash in a lot of money on it. Yeah, just keep putting the rent up, mortgages keep going up. So is it any wonder more and more people are looking at alternative lifestyles? People are getting called lazy, but why would anyone want to work for that? To have a mortgage that's going to take 25 to 30 years to pay off. Because by then it's like, let's say you get to, 30 years old, you buy a mortgage, you could be 60 by the time you've paid it off. By then you're almost at retirement age. And it's like, hi, Chaos Mags, how you doing? Now, what's that? My friend's man bought a house for 4,000 and it's worth 170,000. Yeah, I know, it's crazy, yeah. Yeah. A lot of greedy landlords, I know. It's, yeah, there's just no need for it, is there? Like, it's just absolutely just a scandal. And like I said, why don't more people actually take into the streets and actually, with all of this, like I said, the just ridiculously high house prices, there's just no need for any of it. Like, and if anything, the houses have just gotten worse in quality now. So like you could buy a house for like that, and then by the time they've sold it off, then at a higher price, and it's crumbling. A lot of these new builds now, like anything from the last, say, 50 years or so, the quality of them are just getting worse because they've used cheap materials and stuff, just really bad quality. Whereas at one time they used to be stone built, they're a lot more robust. But because it's all about, maximizing profits and, limiting the costs. And this is why you could say that capitalism fails, because all these big companies just want to cut corners and not have to buy the, more expensive materials that would, last longer. Because there's no incentive for them to do that, is there? Because, yeah, I guess because rent money is dead money, at least with a mortgage, you own what you're paying off. Yeah, I understand that. And there is arguments against it, saying that you still have to put a deposit down though, which can then there'd be an opportunity to see costs from that. But I was working out that it's probably still worth it in the long run, because you end up with equity and you end up with, value in the long run. You can sell that house and then cash it in at some point if you want to downsize and you get older. Let's say you start a family and you want to probably buy a house then. Say you buy it for like, 300K, 400K, whatever. By the time you end up selling it it's probably going to be worth over $1 million. And yeah, it's just going to be absolutely like, yeah. So you could just cash in a retirement there and just downsize into a smaller place. So there is that. You're building equity is I think is the important thing from it. But yeah, renting is just, it is dead money. It is money down the drain really. But it's the whole thing of delayed gratification. It's like you have to like you'd be willing to put a deposit down to then get the long term benefit. And that's what a lot of people seem to struggle with, is being able to just take the time to do that. But it is harder now than it has been. But so you have to have everything right, like like saving up enough money, live in an area where it isn't too expensive, because in a lot of areas, it can be quite expensive. You're looking at, like I said, the average in this country now is almost like 300,000, but that's probably what you're looking at in this city, at least anyway. But where I used to live, like you could get a house easily for under 100,000, but in some of these areas it'd be quite rough. So you have to, factor that in, that if you want to go for a cheap house, then, well, you're gonna have to compromise possibly on security even. But then again, some of these areas might not be as bad as what you think, and there's a bad reputation, and that causes it to be a low price. But still, though, a lot of them it looks kind of scummy, and just like, do you really want to live there? Even if it is safe, it's not really nice. When you walk around and all you see is just boarded up windows and things like that in these really cheap areas. It's not something I'd really want to be looking at. It'd be pretty grim and depressing, I think. But yeah, if that's what you got to do to get on the property ladder, you got to do what you got to do, I guess. But yeah, it's just I don't know. I was looking into like cheap houses and stuff. So it's just mad how it costs so much to like just to keep a roof over your head. But it might just be that because we're just like, the thing is, we could probably live on like far less than what we have. Like a lot of people have a lot of clutter in their house and stuff, and they just overcomplicate their life. Like if you just lived in a really small place, then maybe you could just maybe it would only cost like 10, 20 grand or something. At least you'd have your own place, right? Like you could just try to lay everything out in a kind of efficient way, try to figure out how to, increase the space, maybe even doing things like, having a bed up on, like the top of your living room, so then you can sort of maximize the space of it. Just doing things like that. Just yeah, it's like we don't really need that much space. Like I don't need all this space in here. I could probably have a couple of people living here if I wanted to, because it's like they can find a way to make room for them. So a lot of people are living in houses that the space they don't even need. So yeah. Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? That the demand, it's all supply and demand thing. But I do feel like there's a lot of it's an excuse though. Because it doesn't change its intrinsic value, does it? It doesn't actually, just because more people want something doesn't mean that that thing is actually intrinsically worth anymore. Like nothing about it changes other than the fact that more people want that. It's like, for example, you get people, valuing gold so much just because of how rare it is. So that makes its price go up. It doesn't actually have any more intrinsic value over any other of these metals, over silver, bronze, brass, whatever, tin, copper. Like it's just a piece of metal. They all have similar properties, but people value it just because of how rare it is, even though, yeah, yeah. But it's more to do with the demand. It's not the demand, the supply is the issue, really. Like if you have high demand, but the supply is keeping up with that, then that balances it out. But yeah, I was talking about that the other month or something about the immigration can actually be, but we're saying now I think they're actually trying to just use them for cheap labor and then basically to get rid of the middle class is what they've been trying to do for a while. So we shouldn't be trying to kind of hate on any of these people. They're all just trying to get by. And we just got to look at like the actual governments that are actually trying to mess everything up. And yeah, we need to stop pointing the fingers at the wrong people is what I'm saying. But yeah, there's just there needs to be more houses built. The thing is, though, you could say, well, there needs to be more houses built, but there's a lot of buildings that they could do something with it. Like, for example, there's a lot of like abandoned houses. There's a lot of just abandoned buildings in general that they could renovate them, do something with it, and turn it into housing. There's a lot of even things like businesses that are just not being used. And it's hello, Keith. What you on about? Who are you telling to shut up? You know? So, like, what I'm saying is, what's that? Charity. What's that? What is that? Charity begins at home. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because it's like this whole thing of, what is it? You can't pour from an empty cup or something like that, is it? Like, that you've got to sort your own problems out first before dealing with other people's problems. Because if it's just going to make our economy tank, then how are we going to be good to anybody? It's just going to make everybody poor. Whereas if we sort our economy out, and then we can just kind of allow in the right people who are going to benefit the economy overall. We have to be very selective. So I agree with like in terms of, yeah, we could have people coming in, but it has to be of benefit. Like, are they going to actually be coming to actually? Now you could say, well, like I said, there needs to be more done with the houses that already exist. There's a lot of just houses that are like vacant that somebody could just move into, but they're just oftentimes there for months and years without anything done. They could just be renovated and then somebody could move into them. I just find it a disgrace, really. Sometimes even entire building blocks that are just being wasted. So I think we should be looking at that as part of the problem. And yeah, of course, with all the immigrants, you could say that that's not helping. But again, I think that they're trying to get us all focused on these issues that, well, yeah, they're having an effect, but at the same time, they're like, it's also other things that we should be looking at. Just the fact that there just isn't enough. Like I mean, it's not just that there isn't enough houses being built, but also not enough of the houses are being used up properly. Like, it's like it's not efficient. I mean, I could technically have somebody here right now, right? But yeah, it's like people should only get like a certain amount of room, I guess. Now that then again, you can't just like kick people out of their own homes, because there was that whole like bedroom tax thing, whatever. But I don't think that's a good idea to punish people for homes that they've lived in their whole life because someone's moved out or something. It's like you shouldn't have to just move on because you might feel like attached to that house. But I don't know. It's just it would be good to make the most of that space. But there's houses that are completely vacant, completely just abandoned, that are not being used up, and even just entire buildings, entire like things like office spaces and stuff that are not being used at all. Like I saw there's this thing like the old gym that I used to go to, and it's like I'm sure it's still got a to let sign on it. Yeah, because they couldn't pay back the. I think they had to take out some loan with the whole 2020 situation, and like what is going on with it? Because shouldn't it be? Shouldn't someone have actually took it? Shouldn't someone have actually let it out by now? But someone could do that, let it out to like say people for housing. Hi, Runner Boy, how are you doing? Welcome in. I'm just saying, there's all these houses that are just building blocks. Like I said, there's this old gym that shut down because they ended up they're basically going into bankruptcy after the whole kind of 2020 situation, if you know what I mean. But I think they ended up like going somewhere else and doing it or whatever, but into a smaller venue. But they were like renting out this thing, and then are you from work? Okay, no worries. Renting out this place that's like it's just not even being used now. It's like what what's going on? Like, why isn't someone rented out? I guess it's just no one has found any use for it or something. I don't know. But it's just one example of how we've got buildings that already exist. So people can go on about, lack of supply of housing. Let's talk about the fact that there's already buildings there that could be used for housing if we just renovate them or just set them up in a way that can turn it into housing. Because, we could have it, for like the homeless people, just to give them some shelter. Some of these places already have plumbing, fitted in. So we don't necessarily need more people to like construct properties that much. It's like, we just need to be more efficient with the things that we already have, because we don't necessarily want to keep building houses on greenbelt land and all that. Well, if the owner doesn't want that, well, that should be tough, because if you have a property that you own but you're just wasting land, then I think you should have to pay some kind of tax then, tax that goes to society. So, because I think that it should be occupied. It shouldn't just be there going to waste, where they've just like, someone was like basically ended up forced into debt, had to just sell up some of their stuff and then do it somewhere else because there's some fucking greedy fucking landlord who's just holding up the fucking space. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if they own it. Like I'm kind of becoming more and more kind of, when it comes to the economics, becoming more and more left wing on that, to be honest. I used to be more right wing on it, but I'm more, you would say, like more left wing on it in terms of, I just think the whole capitalism shit is bullshit, and it's just, I think that we should be able to have a house that we own, but like, yeah. I mean, private ownership up to a point, but when you're just wasting land, then, yeah. Owner could rent if they don't want it. Yeah. That's what I mean. It should be then have to be used for something. It's like you could own it, but like if it's not something, if it's not a place that you live in, then it should have to be like rented out to somebody else. So maybe I am becoming a bit more fucking, I don't know. As I'm getting older, I'm becoming more and more kind of just, it's like, you'd be looking for a house next year. What are you looking to buy or to rent or something? Or, yeah, any unused house should be used. Yeah, because we shouldn't be building more houses on greenbelt land. It's a disgrace to see it keep happening. More and more houses being built on greenbelt land when there's a lot of, like I said, a lot of buildings that are not being used, and they could be used for some. Then, like, it could be used to just give people shelter at least. Yeah, it might not be ideal, but it's like it's better than them being on the streets, right? And what's that? Maybe what's that? Reduce immigration. Well, like I said, that can be a part of it, but even without all of that, we'd still probably have some problems. But immigrants, I think immigrants need, we should be, as long as they're not evil and whatever, we should try and respect these and help them out if we can. Because I think that someone just wasting space with, they don't even use a business, then they should at least have to pay some kind of tax to society to compensate for using land that doesn't even have a purpose for. Like where you just see these to let signs on businesses that are just there for years. I think, it's like if you've bought land for that business, and then you no longer use that business, then maybe that's when your rights should be taken from, having that. I don't know. It's like maybe the right should only exist as long as the business exists. I don't know. I'm just like, I don't know the solution necessarily, but would, reducing immigration solve all of that? And should we do that to favor greedy companies that are just wasting land that could be used for something else, that could be used to make facilities and different things. What is the point in that building being there then? Maybe we should just knock it down then and just rewild that bit of land then, eh? If it's not going to get used. Because the more that we make all these cities and this concrete jungle, the worse it is for the environment and all that. What about working families that can't afford to buy? To buy what, sorry? Yeah, I just ended up getting into some debate on ownership and in terms of like units that are not being used but are still advertised as to let for years sometimes. So, I mean, what about the working families that can't afford to buy? What do you mean? What's that got to do with that? Their first home? Yeah. I mean, they're just like screwed, aren't they? A lot of them. But maybe they should have their shit sorted out before they actually have a child. Like, if you can't finance your children, you shouldn't have one. You know, so a lot of it comes down to their own responsibility. But I think that, you know, like I said, if you have a business, then you have a responsibility to, yeah. Like, if you're not using it, then maybe it should have to be sold off to. I mean, maybe that could be, you know, could be sold off to, you know, for people to have somewhere that they could have a family. I don't know. These units could probably easily be, you know, converted into a home, into a big home that's good enough for a family. But I mean, like, how much would immigration really actually help with reducing the? I mean, you could say it's because like they tend to have a lot of children, so they need quite big houses. So this could be something that could, you know, depends on how many of them are going to become construction workers. Like, are they all going to be, you know, how many of them will actually do that? So it'd be interesting to see the statistics on that, on how many of them are construction workers, how many. I'm just going to look up the statistics just to have to just kind of get an idea, because the whole thing is that we need to have enough construction workers to be able to build the homes, to build the, you know, to do the bricklaying, to do the plumbing, all these different things. So it's saying here that in the UK construction industry, there's a noticeable disparity in representation between white British and Asian British workers, while white British individuals constitute the majority of the workforce. Asian British workers are significantly underrepresented, particularly in management positions. So I'm just wondering, in terms of like, in terms of the actual labour part of it, are they actually? But it's saying they're generally underrepresented, and I just remember there's like, I think there's a lot of demand for like construction workers, and this has been going on for a long time, because new homes have to be built all the time, and the population's still rising. You could say, well, the immigrants are a big part of that, and especially if they're having a lot of children, and if they're not going to be as likely to take part in construction. Because when I think about it, a lot of their jobs tend to be around things such as working in shops or doing things like taxi driving and stuff like that. Thinking about it, I don't really see a lot of them doing working on the construction sites, building homes and stuff like that. There will be some out there that do that, but could that maybe be that problem in the long term? I don't know. So maybe you have a point there, that especially as their population goes up, and then also a lot of British people end up leaving because they don't like it here anymore, because the economy is not so good. What's the topic of the stream today? We've just been talking about a few things, really, just on the way that this country is going and how it's not good. But right now, it's just on the whole effects of immigration, and whether that is a major factor in the housing shortage, because the whole thing of supply and demand. But I believe that it's just been artificially created. Like, we also need to look at things such as zoning laws. That's another issue that, so like zoning laws. So basically what that is, let's have a look. So that's rules that determine how land can be used in specific areas. So apparently with like that, it can actually affect house prices and stuff like that. Let's see if they actually can increase house prices. Oh boy, I'll definitely move on to Rio when I'm older. It's cheap to live and get a place. Yeah, I've heard about South America. I've also heard about Southeast Asia, and even Eastern Europe, significantly cheaper. Even in places like Spain. Actually, my uncle's moved to Spain. He started doing a YouTube channel. I don't know whether I'll promote it on here, but so he's saying, yes, zoning laws can contribute to higher house prices. Restrictive zoning regulations limit the supply of housing, and when demand outpaces supply, prices tend to rise. This is particularly true in areas where zoning restricts the type and density of housing, or where land use regulations are strict. So yeah, I'm not really like a big fan of like doing greenbelt land, but like I said, I think that they shouldn't really be trying to build too many more houses at this point. We should be trying to just focus on, I think we should be focusing on using up houses that already exist, and the buildings that already exist. Turning unused businesses into shelters. I don't see anything wrong with that. But I understand it from that point that, if you bought that land, then you shouldn't have to sell it on. Like I was saying with the whole, there's this thing about the bedroom tax thing, but at the same time, it's like, I don't like the idea of waste. That something's not, it's like either it be used for land to grow food or something, or to be used for some other purpose, to have facilities for something. that society can benefit from, or just like, yeah, I don't know. It's just a thing of waste that I don't agree with. Another good stream today. That's good then. Yeah, my streams have been a bit kind of, yeah, I don't know. It's only when there's drama going on that they seem to do well, you know. But it is what it is. Well, I'm glad that things were going well. What time are we on now? All right, I should probably get off pretty soon. But yeah, it just kind of seems like people only want to watch you when it's negative or something. Hello, Grind. What's the latest drama? I'm just, yeah. I was just talking about the situation in the UK at the moment with housing and stuff like that. I'll have to have a look at the hashtags then and see if it works. Maybe I'll try that next time. But I thought maybe doing the kind of stream setup like this might have helped, but doesn't look like it's really done that much. But you know, but maybe it just takes time. I don't know. But yeah, my stream's not even on 200 views yet, so it's been going for 2 hours and 36 minutes. We're not 197 views. So I don't know. And most of them haven't even stuck around. And we've got like nearly 2,500 subs. It's just going to get a bit disheartening at times where it's like, you feel like, you know, you're trying to put this stuff out, talk about real issues and whatever, and then people aren't really that interested. Oh yeah, look at this runner boy, you see that? Yeah, it's not ideal, but yeah, I got, yeah, a nasty surprise earlier, but was it 400 for 40 minutes there? That's pretty good then, yeah. Yeah, I've had that like a few weeks ago, but yeah, it's just random, isn't it, you know? Yeah, it's, I don't know if you saw my short earlier. I did a bit of a like one arm hang. Can you do a one? I'm pretty sure you'll probably be able to do a one arm hang, right? Hello, Joshua. What happened to your hand? Yeah, I was just like, with all the working out I was doing today, yeah, it just, something's got to give eventually, hasn't it? You know, when you're working out the intensity, it's just something's eventually gonna break down, isn't it? You know, it's like, I remember it happened when I was doing, you know, rock climbing, you know, like climbing up a wall, you know, one time, but some time ago, I remember I actually cut my skin doing that. You know, when you're going up with those, like, it was like probably like 20-foot wall or something, whatever, and it was like maybe even high. I think it was like 25 foot, something like that, and it was did have these lumps sticking out, like the kind of like you're climbing up a rock face or something, and it's just yeah, you know, you keep doing that, and you just end up, you know, it's, you know, you, because I wasn't used to doing that, so like my skin was quite delicate. So, but as I say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So yeah, who knows? It might stop this week, but means I could take a rest with restreams. But I'll be back and tomorrow. All right. Yeah. What time are you streaming tomorrow then? What are your plans? Have you got any like? Yeah, because I mainly just see you doing like squat, bench, and deadlift. But yeah, I should only need 200 more hours. Once that I have now got. Yeah, what's that? Yes. Count it on, was it? Sorry, it's just that when I'm looking at this chat on here, because I'm using Prism and it's like, yeah. As it counted on, it'll post. It will just be a restream tomorrow. Didn't do many this week. All right. How come? Because if you keep doing the restreams, you'll get it there quicker. You might as well just do it but then again, is it because you feel like you have to kind of take part in it or something? Yeah, I don't know. I'm just, I've got to try and do something because I'm fed up of the way things have been going with the channel. Just feels like, I don't know, just going around in circles. Just not making any progress with it, really. So I want to see progress with the channel, and, you know, it can be disheartening at times, and like, because I got the good views, and also I just couldn't be bothered, but I'll be back at it. Well, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I'm just yeah, probably get some bit of food soon, actually. Oh, because I got hang on, my last video flopped though. Yeah, you just never know. It's just, I don't like this algorithm anymore. It's just so random, and just like, I don't know. Yeah, these random people showing up a lot of the time. It's like I don't hardly get any of my regulars showing up, and it's just anymore. They just all seem to disappear, and then they're not there, and it's I don't know. There's people I haven't seen for weeks, months, even. Some people I haven't even seen for over a year. It's like, what happened to everybody, you know? I get that people have lives and shit, but where are they all? Surely there should be like, I don't know. Diet like, I mean, eat plant-based food. That's yeah. So I just seen something about a stiff leg deadlift. Is that something you ever do? Stiff leg deadlift. I mean, to me, it kind of just looks like an RDL or something. I mean, what's the difference? It doesn't look like there's really that much difference. I mean, still here making bone broth. All right, bone broth. Yeah, sounds disgusting to me, but you know, each to their own. So, but my deadlifts would be classed as stiff leg. Are you on about just your conventional deadlifts, or because you were saying you do like deadlifts and RDLs? It's like there's all these different variations, isn't there? There's like, what else? You got sumo deadlift. Have you ever done sumo deadlift? Because some people find that easier. Runner Boy says yes. Which one you mean? But sumo's, some say it's cheating because it reduces the range of motion, but there's been all this argument because the thing is, like, sumo's not considered as a legitimate deadlift in like a powerlifting meet, is it? So yeah, it's like it somewhat decreases the range of motion because you're kind of like doing the splits with your legs, and you're kind of might knock an inch or two off the range of motion, which would in some cases allow you to lift heavier. Yeah, I tried it. I found it way harder. What is that, sumo? Some people might find it harder. I guess it depends on your leverages or whatever, and like maybe it's just in terms of like the position. Some people might find that harder, but well, with sumo, it's going to be more leg, isn't it? I think so. I guess if you've got like strong legs, then they might find sumo better or something, because it's going to be kind of like a cross between a deadlift and a squat in terms of how you're flexing your muscles, or how difficult it, in terms of like how you're how you're flexing your muscles. Like if say like you're with like a conventional, your back is more kind of taking a lot of the load, whereas with sumo it's more your legs. I just don't think I'm built for it. Yeah, so I guess everyone's got their own. I did have a quick go on the sumo deadlift when I was at the gym the other day just to try it out. It did feel slightly easier to me, but it could just be the decreased range of motion. I'm not too sure, but yeah. So RDLs are like, aren't they like harder or something because you're pretty much using more back in that, and you're not really. It's like you're using your posterior chain to a degree, but like you're not able to really get your like quads involved really with it. So, and your quads are going to be like quite strong muscles that can generate a lot of power, but you don't tend to get people doing really heavy weights on RDLs compared to like regular, I guess. Is it all hamstrings? Yeah, you get some glutes as well on RDL or something, or is it actually, or is the conventional more glutes then? I just remember like when someone first showed me how to do a deadlift like ages ago. I was at some kind of like youth club thing, and they were like doing like some kind of session for us all. And hello, Yekta. I don't know how to maintain my calories. I don't count them on what's that time? Yeah, so like just kind of like just try and put them into like chronometer or something like that, and or just kind of look at them and just try to count it all up and get an idea. It doesn't have to be like perfect or anything, but the thing is, if whatever you're eating is like you're not losing any weight, then you want to be in a deficit. You should eat less than what you're currently eating. Maybe swap out something for something less calories, or yeah. All right, you take care, runner boy. On RDLs, you don't go all the way down, right? Oh yeah, because it's more of like a kind of Yeah, yeah. With RDLs, they don't touch the floor, do they? Whereas with like conventional, it's like full range of motion. So it's more about the stretch you're saying on RDLs then. Anyway, it's not. I don't think I've ever done RDLs. I don't know, but might be something to look into. It's just I'm not. I'm just not really like I don't know because if I want to do deadlifts, I want to go for like just for like just pure strength and just try and go as heavy as I can. Um, where else are you streaming? What do you mean? Where else are you? I'm just streaming here at the moment. I've streamed like outside, but I'm not doing that at the moment because I haven't got any data on my phone right now. So yeah, so you still there? Hope you're doing well anyway. But yeah, calories are important to keep a track of really, because otherwise, I mean, you just kind of you have no idea like what's going into your body. You don't have to keep doing it for life. You just want to get a kind of idea. But are you streaming on? Streaming on. I'm streaming on Facebook. I'm streaming on a couple of other places as well. But yeah, it's just doing this Prism thing. Yeah. So I thought I'd try it out again, and seems like it's working, at least. But yeah, it should be on D-Level, but I forgot to check out the chat because, unfortunately, yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, it's just someone just like kind of trolling the chat or something. We'll get off in a sec. It's almost 11 p.m, blimey. Right, yeah, I should definitely call it a night. So take care, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow, I guess.